authority in the government code for the Board of Supervisors to call for elections concerning whether or not certain county officer positions, like treasurer, tax collector, should be elected or appointed. We have not found any express authority for the Board of Supervisors to do the same thing with regard to county superintendent. So I think if you were simply, as this board, to order an election and assume that the Board of Supervisors will put it on, what you'll be doing is raising a new legal issue in a different arena, because then the elections officer will have to be consulting with county counsel, and it would be a different attorney than myself, I do not represent elections, to determine whether or not the Board of Supervisors can properly even place this on the ballot before the voters. So I think there are a lot of open legal questions right now. I don't think it is clear that this board has the authority to simply order an election. So before you go down a path that could be very expensive, it probably makes some sense to get a legal opinion that specifically addresses whether or not this board, in and of itself, can order an election that the Board of Supervisors is compelled to place before the voters. And your board does, under your policy, have the ability to have separate counsel to look into that. And that would certainly be a reasonable way for you to proceed at this time if you were inclined to spend the money to do that. You're raising a complicated issue, so if you're going to do it and you want something back by February 19th, you would want to have staff move that quickly to an outside counsel. But I want to really stress that this is not at all clear legally that this body has the ability to simply order the election, that the Board of Supervisors will put it on the ballot.
Okay, let me ask you a question here. First of all, I believe that the Board of Supervisors has only one function so far as any ballot that comes up to them, not to judge the legality of it, but to judge whether or not there's space or will be space in a general election that the sponsor of the ballot measure wishes to place the ballot on. Okay, that's their step. They have no authority, so far as my reading of the law, to do otherwise. Okay, second of all, your organization, the county council, is supposed to provide, free of direct charge to any agency, a legal analysis as to the effect of the legality of the whole situation, both as to existing law and as to the functioning of the ballot measure throughout its life, if it has a limited life. Is that right?
To that, actually, that's 2 points. The second point, with regard to the impartial analysis, our office is absolutely charged with providing an impartial analysis on a ballot measure. What an impartial analysis is not something that talks about whether or not something belongs on the ballot in the first place. It's an analysis that says, if this item passes, it will do X, Y, and Z. If this item does not pass, the following will be the case. It has nothing to do with whether or not the measure can be placed on the ballot in the first place. So the impartial analysis, which is provided free on ballot measures, would not get to the question about this board's ability to place the matter on the ballot in the first place.
Wait a
With
minute.
regard to the second thing you raised, whether or not our board has any ability to determine whether or not something can go on the ballot and it's only a matter of space. I'm not an election lawyer, so I have to qualify what I'm saying. But my understanding is that the county clerk recorder would not put a measure that does not meet the confines of the law on the ballot ballot for consideration in the first place. And there have been a number of election challenges over the years claiming that something doesn't belong on the ballot for a particular reason. So I can see this heading off into a court arena concerning whether or not it even can be placed on the ballot at all. Again, I think you would be well served to get an outside counsel, someone who's not with the county counsel's office, to take a look at this and whether or not this board has the authority to order an election. We were able to find express authority for you to order an advisory election. We haven't been able to find express authority for this board to order a straight election. So I think you would be well served by getting a separate opinion on that point before you proceed any further with this.
Did you read my work here, my resolution?
I did read your resolution.
Okay. It seemed to me that I followed a direct path for providing a method of effectuating Section 3 of Article 9 of the Constitution. First of all, I identified the board as a governing board. And then I identified that the governing board is able to sponsor elections or put on elections. Okay, then after that, since we are the governing board, and then I identified that we have effective legislative authority over both the office of county superintendent of schools and the office of county office of education. And especially in regard to the superintendent, the listing of all of those sections of the education code where the superintendent comes to us and seeks our authority to do so. If that doesn't say that we don't have extended authority over that office, I don't know what would.
All right, I think you should have an independent legal review of that issue. I'm not prepared to tell you that based on what I saw in the resolution, you have that independent legal authority. Yes.
Okay, so I hear you very clearly. You're recommending exactly what I recommended, that we need an outside opinion. The problem here is that this has not been put on the agenda it seems like it's only agendized for discussion. So that means I cannot get a consensus with the board members. I can't make a motion. I can't get consensus to have that information before next week, next board meeting. I have to wait until next board meeting in order to put it on the agenda, in order to get the consensus between the five of us that we want a second opinion. Is that correct?
That is true. This is the way you have it listed on your agenda this evening. It's information only. You have not indicated to the public that you would be taking action. So if there cannot be a vote on anything related to this, there could be a referral, a request to staff, and then staff can act on that request or not. But you certainly could make a request.
Well, I have made a request.
Go ahead. The request for the legal opinion, but based on board policy, we have to vote on it, and based on our board
And
policy.
so, actually, we're running out of time.
Yes.
And it makes me kind of upset because we've been debating this all the way in 2010. We said we would put it on as a question in 2014, and it just feels like we're stalled. And I feel frustrated. I just have to make that statement.
Mary, can we get some clarification on that staff request? The board's policy is in the event that they want to retain a separate legal counsel. We work with a number of very qualified law firms. I mean, the best firms in the state. Well, okay, we work with about half a dozen firms. Don't like any of them.
No, you know, what is that